Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skip Allen. I am a member of Profiles. I used to be the host of the Profiles After Show, but then we haven't done an episode in quite a while. We decided to do an episode tonight. I thought I'd have a few more profilers on here, but I got a newcomer to the Profiles After Show. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, Profiles After Show. My name is Bill or Billy Pollahan. Either one's fine. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm 19 years old, and I have been a profiler for about half a year. This is pretty exciting for me.
Well, we're always glad to have new blood on the Profiles After Show, and I read a lot of your stuff on the Profiles chat and the brackets and stuff like that. So you obviously are a true blue movie fan, and I love interacting with new fans and people that have the movie bug inside them. You know, it's the kind of disease that you want to have a movie disease inside you. I don't know if that is the right thing to say, but
no, I get it. I get it.
You get it. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to find a community that's kind of like the stuff that I did. I only thought of this as a little kid, so this is mind blowing. I'll let you continue. Sorry.
That's not Billy. Hey, I'm glad to see that you have enthusiasm. All right, so this is the Profiles After Show on Pixar. This is the first non-person that we have Scott and Alicia have done, and I for one think it's a great topic. If you're going to pick a movie studio or a group of films that are all in one kind of a genre together, I think Pixar is probably one of the better ones next to Marvel. I hope they do a Marvel one. I love to see. I think there's going to be 11 by the time Ant-Man comes out. There'll be 11 Marvel films. So hopefully they'll do a Marvel one down the road here soon. Okay, well, what we always do on the Profiles After Show, Billy, is we ask our guests what is their first blood. So I'm going to let you take that away first, since you're the new person on the show.
Okay, well, my first blood was like men. Now, the funny thing is, I wasn't born when Toy Story came out. I was born in 1996. It came out in 1995. But I still have a VHS copy of it. It is worn down, but I still have it. I have seen Toy Story so many times, I can almost quote the film word for word. I believe I said this during the Facebook comments as well, but yeah, my first blood was Toy Story, and boy, what a way to start. I mean, anybody can watch this film. It's great for all ages. You could be the most grumpy man in the world, basically either Tommy Lee Jones or Harrison Ford, and you can still love it. Yeah, that was my first blood.
Well, that's pretty good, Billy, because my first blood was also Toy Story. I was not born in 1995 or whenever you were born or whatever, but I actually saw Toy Story in the theater. I'm a little bit older than you, maybe a lot older than you, but I'm one of those grumpy old men that you're talking about. I
just didn't mean like that. I mean, just like the guys that are just they hate life. They're like Carl and Up. You know, those guys.
I don't have a lot of a positive outlook on life, but I absolutely loved that movie when I first saw it. We'll get more into Toy Story, but that was my first blood. The first thing we do after first blood is we go to our Fast Five number one. Now, Alicia, or number five, I should say. Alicia and Scott's Fast Five number 5 was Finding Nemo. So what we do is we'll go to where Finding Nemo is on your Fast Five. So always you get to go first, and I'll go second, Billy.
Okay. First, I want to do the profilers shimmy, just because that's it's a thing. I love when Alicia does that because, she's got my heart. Anyway, Finding Nemo is number 4 on my Fast Five, and I put it there for a couple of reasons. My number 5, we can get into that later. But number 4, I loved Finding Nemo when I first saw it. I was very young. I was one of those little kids that, probably one of those loud little kids that saw it in theaters, and it just blew me away. It has a great story and a great relationship with a father and son, and I really reflected that with me and my dad because we don't always get along, and we sometimes have a tough relationship. He sometimes has a tough time letting go, and I want to be more independent, all that sort of stuff. Especially, I put it on number 4 because there were other Pixar films that I thought were just the better films, but I knew that Finding Nemo had to be on there. It had to be there, so I think I put it into place.
Well, that's interesting. Your thoughts are very interesting. I, on the other hand, have Finding Nemo at number 1 on my Fast Five, and it's because it's my favorite Pixar film. And I'm gonna go to the next level with your father son kind of relationship thing. I've had a lot of really ups and downs, a lot of struggles with my relationship with my father, and so it really hit home for me the hard love of Marlin, played by Albert Brooks in Finding Nemo, and then of course this whole mission to go find Nemo, because he even though he had a lot of tough love with Nemo, he still cared about his son. He was his son, and he wanted to go all out to find him. And with the relationship with him and Dory, played by Ellen DeGeneres, I mean, it's just one of the best buddy road trip movies I've ever seen, and it's an animated a movie that takes place in the ocean, and that's the greatest thing about Pixar. They just meld these genres together, and it creates magic. And yeah, so Finding Nemo really hit home with me. So many of the Willem Dafoe character in the fish tank, and then the turtle, and then obviously the shark. I have it in my notes. Alicia and Scott talk about the shark. Bruce was named after the shark from Jaws. Steven Spielberg named the shark in Jaws Bruce. So that was a shout out to Steven Spielberg. But I cannot say, and I'm surprised that Alicia and Scott had this so low on their Fast Five. God, I just think it's a phenomenal movie. You got anything else to say about Finding Nemo?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I knew there was probably going to be on there, and there was a lot of love about it, especially with like profiler Rachel Cushing. She did a great review about it, and I'm just like, all right, at least it's on top 5, All
right, so now,
but I too was very, pretty much.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
A little bit of a lag we have going on.
Yeah.
All right, so now what we do is we go to our right stuff. Alicia and Scott's right stuff is you know what's weird is I screwed up, Billy. I forgot to give Alicia and Scott's First Blood, so I'm just really quickly. I'm going to go.
It had to happen with somebody eventually.
It's Scott's Toy Story, so we both have already talked about that. And then Alicia had the Lotso Jr. lamp short from the which is the Pixar logo. Now,
the little. I know which ones they're talking about. There's the little lamp, the big lamp, and then there's the ball.
Yeah,
and it does what the Pixar logo does to the eye. It does that at the end. I love their short films. We could do that in the honorable mentions, but they made so many short films. I don't even know if I've seen them all. Those
shorts are amazing.
If I find like a Blu-ray, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, there is a Blu-ray. There's actually I don't know if it's a DVD or a Blu-ray, but they have all the Pixar shorts on there. And
sweet.
I think there was a movie a few years ago. They released it like around Christmas, where they put like you could go to a theater and see all the Pixar shorts in the theater or something like that. I could be wrong, but I thought I heard about that a few years ago.
Dude, shoot, where was I?
Yeah, well, you probably weren't paying attention.
Probably.
So now we're going to go to our right stuff. Alicia and Scott's right stuff are as follows. Um, the montage in Up. Alicia has chose the montage in Up, the beginning of Up, where they go through the history of Carl and his wife, and obviously we know what happens in Up. I mean, I'm not going to say spoiler every time I talk about something that happens in one of these movies. If you haven't seen Up, then I'm sorry, you're missing out because it's a great film. But there's a whole montage about the life and death and how these two meet each other and they get married, and then the whole 9 yards, and then his wife dies. And that's where we pick up Carl at the beginning of the movie. He's alone. And so it is an amazing, amazing montage. Alicia, we'll talk more about Up afterwards. And then Scott's right stuff is the end of Toy Story 3, where all the toys are being put up. They're on the conveyor belt and they're about to be burnt to a crisp and dead. And then the crane comes in there and rescues them all.
Ah.
So that's Scott's right stuff. Now your right stuff, Billy.
Oh, what's my right stuff? Okay. Well, my right stuff, it's from the same film as Scott's. It's Toy Story 3. But instead of the conveyor belt scene, while it was a great scene and I thought this is really deep for a kids movie, it's the very end when Andy drives away and he just looks back and he says, "Thanks, guys." And then Woody just says, "So long, partner." And it gets me every time because many people, when Toy Story first came out, like many people in my generation are the same age as Andy. So it's kind of like us saying goodbye to our childhood and just moving on, but keeping it a part of us. It gets me every time. And I had a hard time choosing between that and the montage from Up, because Up is just, it's unbelievable. I was not expecting it to be as good as it would be. It did not, I wasn't interested in seeing it, and then I saw it and I was just like, what did I ever think that? But yeah, my right stuff is the very end of Toy Story 3.
All right, well, I'm going to go something similar to yours, but in a different movie. Obviously, I already said my number one Fast Five was Finding Nemo. So the ending of Finding Nemo, where finally Nemo escapes the fish tank in the dentist's office, and he gets into the ocean, and he meets up with Dory, and they have to go looking for Marlin, his father, and just that scene where they finally meet up together, and everything that Marlin had done the entire movie was worthwhile because he was able to find his son at the end of that movie, and they were reunited. What a sad, sad moment, but just also a happy, happy moment. And all the moments that I spent going to ball games and doing things with my father or whatever, watching movies or they all came flooding back through me with the ending of Finding Nemo. So that's my right stuff. All right, so now that our right stuff is done with, we are going to go on to Fast Five number 4. And Alicia and Scott had Fast Five number 4 as The Incredibles. Yeah. All right, Billy, where does The Incredibles lie on your Fast Five?
Hold it. I'm going to get something real quick.
Okay.
Got it.
All right, so we got Billy. He had to go get something, a prop or something. So he's coming right back. This usually isn't that good for doing a video, but since
Anyway, sorry about that. Basically, this is also going to play in later. I'm going to use these props for later. But for The Incredibles, I'm a big Disney Infinity guy, so I got Mr. Incredible and Syndrome. Syndrome's really tough to find, but yeah. Basically, I love The Incredibles. It is one of the best superhero films ever. It is basically the Fantastic Four. Yeah, it's essentially the Fantastic Four, a bunch of these 60s superhero stuff. Now, I'm a huge, huge comic book guy, DC and Marvel. Personally, I'm a DC guy, but that's beside the point. Point is, I love this movie so much, and Brad Bird, like, say what you will about Tomorrowland, it's great. Like, it's fantastically directed. Say what you will about the script, but yeah, The Incredibles for me, I was also surprised that this was this low. I put it at number 3. I found it in the middle because I thought it's essentially a flawless film. I didn't find a problem with it. The characters are great. Like Alicia said, they all have to overcome things. Like Violet with her shyness, Mrs. Incredible, being able to, I believe it's protect the kids, and Mr. Incredible's kind of just letting go. I could just talk about this film for hours, but yeah, it's one of Pixar's best. It's one of the best voice acted, one of the best looking films, and that's saying a lot because there's just so much detail in it, and like there's a bunch of bonus features on the DVD, which I have, that this took them a long time, and it really shows. It's a passion project, but it's a great passion project. My thoughts.
Oh wow! I love to hear good things about The Incredibles because I got The Incredibles at number 2 on my Fast Five. So it's kind of interesting that I have these 2 movies that Scott and Alicia had at 5 and 4. I have them at 1 and 2. They were my 2 favorite Pixar movies, and I'm just like you. I grew up as a comic book fan. I read comics for a long time before I stopped. I gave up reading comics. I kind of borrow a few from my brother here and there, and so I'll read some. So The Incredibles just reminded me of the Fantastic Four, and the whole idea of, like Alicia said, about how the powers, Mr. Fantastic strong, and he always wants to be the hero, and he wants to save everybody, but he's got to let go and rely on the rest of his family members. And the kid's Violet, she's got the invisible, so she can
Invisible Woman.
Yeah, and then Elastigirl, she's trying to save everybody. She do all the things, and of course, it would come back to be the whole idea of fandom and being a fan of what we're fans of movies, we're fans of comics, we're fans of sports, and a fan would come back to haunt him to turn villain. And Jason Lee, wow, what a great voice to play the villain, and Craig T. Nelson and Holly Hunter play, and then of course Samuel L. Jackson as Frozone is.
Oh man, everybody says "Where's my super suit?"
Yeah.
Every time. I love it. And
you did a good impression of Samuel L. Jackson there.
Yeah, there's just. I have a channel with my buddy. I'm not trying to self-promote here, but we do impressions. I did a impression of Bill Clinton as Syndrome, when he does the "It's bigger, it's better," that scene when he first comes on. That was a lot of fun on doing it, but still, like, the only one that from the Fantastic Four that I couldn't find was like the Human Torch. And then I'm like, oh, the baby, Jack gets on fire. I'm like, that's Human Torch essentially. Yeah. Like, we got the Thing, who is essentially Jack Kirby as a rock monster. And that's Mr. Incredible because he always does everything right, and it's the kind of sort of like Superman, really my favorite hero of all time. Just yeah, I loved how you were talking about fans, and you can clearly see Brad Bird is a fan of this type of genre. He treats it with respect, and it's just everything is great about it. I cannot find a bad thing. Like, maybe if I nitpick it, but yeah, I can't really find anything.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm glad that Brad Bird came out after Tomorrowland and said, hey, I'm in the process of writing the script for Incredibles 2. And John Lasseter came out last year and said they're doing the sequels to Finding Nemo and Incredibles because I really think they're very far overdue. Why have we not had sequels to these movies sooner? Maybe it was a creative, though. Maybe they couldn't find the creative juices to bring the movies and the stories that they wanted to the big screen as soon as we wanted to see them. I don't know, but I cannot wait for Finding Dory next year, and hopefully soon after that we get The Incredibles 2. All right, so Now, with that done, I have the last detail, Billy. Do you have any kind of interesting trivia or tidbits or something I may not know, or the people watching?
Yeah, actually, I think I do. First off, Edna Mode was voiced by Brad Bird. I was very surprised when I first learned that. And this is where my props come in. I don't know if you can see it. Mr. Incredible and Syndrome, like the animation design, were both based off of Brad Bird. And like if you see pictures of Brad Bird and Mr. Incredible, like he's got the chin, and then same with Syndrome, and he's even got the crazy hair sometimes. And like, there's a lot of them. I think they did for Up that Carl looks like Spencer Tracy in like his last film. And then at the end, or there's a little cameo in The Incredibles by Frank and Ollie, the two of the 9 old men. And I was surprised they didn't mention that because of how, like, now Disney and Pixar, it's Disney Pixar, and Brad Bird did this in The Iron Giant as well. And I thought that was just like a nice tip of the hat to, because him and John Lasseter were also in the same class, I believe, and they were taught by Frank and Ollie. So I was like, when I learned that, I was just blown away, and it made me fall in love with Incredibles even more. Those are my last details.
All right. Well, I just want to reiterate a few of the ones that Alicia and Scott said, just to talk about. Disney bought Pixar for $7.5 billion, and George Lucas had 5% of Pixar, but he had to sell it to Steve Jobs because of the flop of Howard the Duck. Now, can you imagine if George Lucas
Howard the Duck
sell to Pixar? I mean, he would be just swimming in money. Not that he's probably not already swimming in money with the $4.5 billion sale of Star Wars to Disney. So,
merchandise.
say that again.
No, I'm like, well, he already has the merchandising rights for Star Wars, so he's set for life there. Yeah. But he could buy, like, he could be like Johnny Depp, buy his own island with the Pixar money.
Yeah. And then we got Lightning McQueen. Was Glenn McQueen an animator for Pixar, and they named the character Lightning McQueen. But the thing about Lightning McQueen I liked was that Paul Newman voiced the character Lightning McQueen, and it was a
that was Owen Wilson. Paul Newman did.
I'm getting my characters mixed up.
That's okay.
Owen Wilson was Lightning McQueen, but Paul Newman, you caught me in my own mistake, and I caught myself as well. Okay. Paul Newman played the Studebaker, so that was a separate character in Cars. But Lightning McQueen was Owen Wilson. I screwed my own self up there, Billy.
That's okay.
I was thinking. I'm so sorry about that.
I'm just gotta do that because Paul Newman is probably one of my favorite actors. Old Blue Eyes himself, like aside from Sinatra.
Oh yeah.
I love how that car, how the Hudson Hornet, which is a beautiful car, it was blue just like his eyes, and just he had a great voice.
Yeah. Well, then we got John Ratzenberger, who's in all of the Pixar movies. He's in Finding Nemo. He's the Fish School. In the Toy Story movies, he's Ham, the money, the coin bank, the pig bank, and then in Incredibles, he's the Underminer, and in Up, he's John, and in Wall-E, he is Tom, the construction foreman. So those are some of the characters that John Ratzenberger have played in the Pixar films. Now, I got a trivia question for you, Billy.
What?
All right. Who played the voice of Slinky Dog in the Toy Story movies? Slinky Dog.
Well, that would be Ernest, also known as Jim Varney.
Good job.
Thank you.
Job. I remember him in the wine cooler commercials.
Oh, he wore many commercials.
Then he had his own movie, Ernest Escaped, goes to jail, and Ernest goes to school. So it was kind of neat to see him voice the Slinky Dog in the Toy Story movie. So that was a kind of a cool voice. The Toy Story movies had so many great voices, and he was one of the cool voices in Toy Story. All right.
Wall Shawn, all those guys.
Oh, Sean. Oh, God. Is he fantastic as T-Rex? And then
I love him. He's got
he's
iconic
also,
different voice.
you know, in Incredibles.
Oh, yeah. He's the insurance guy that he throws like through 5 walls. I'm like, oh, man.
He's like, stop giving these guys all the heads up on how to beat our get money back out of their insurance policies. He's like,
pretty much like real life.
Yeah, pretty much like real life. But what were you going to say? You had something else to say about the voice actors.
Oh yeah. I think there's so many last details I could.
You there, Billy?
The animator for Pixar, he was who lets their animators be the voices, because it shows that also, they can do more than just animate on a computer screen. They're actually pretty cool people.
Yeah, I had lost you there for a second, Billy. So what you said had gotten cut off. I heard you say something about letting the animators do some of the voices. All right, we're going to go on now to Fast Five, Scott and Alicia's Fast Five, number 3. And number 3 on their list was WALL-E. Where does WALL-E fall on your Fast Five, Billy?
Actually, WALL-E's not on my Fast Five. It's a great film. I love it. But yeah, WALL-E is not on my Fast Five.
Okay. I'm going to be right there with you, Billy, because WALL-E is not on my Fast Five. Yes. And that's going to get us into our honorable mentions. So WALL-E is in my honorable mentions, and so is the original Toy Story. I have 2 honorable mentions, Toy Story and WALL-E. What other honorable mentions do you have of Pixar films that you enjoyed that are not on your Fast Five?
Well, I enjoy almost all of them except for like one. I'm not going to say what that is, but yeah, I'm just going to say that it should have just been straight to DVD, not a theatrical release. Cars 2. But my honorable mentions have to be, I liked the first Cars. So it's mixed. Bug's Life has to be on there. Ratatouille. And like I love all the other ones, like Brave, and which I actually thought was interesting, but it wasn't. Some parts were not executed greatly. But yeah, I'm gonna have to say for my honorable mentions, Ratatouille, Bug's Life, and Cars. Those are gonna be my honorable mentions.
All right, so that's going to get us into Fast Five, Alicia's and Scott's Fast Five, number 2, and they have Up. Where does Up fall in your Fast Five, Billy?
Up is also my number 2.
All right. So what do you got to say about Up? Anything that we haven't already talked about?
It is like the first the whole montage scene is like 5 minutes. It could have been a short film, and I would have been happy. I like the opening with like him and Ellie and his wife, and then he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to be Charles Muntz." Like he's going through like the film serials. I love the relationships in this film. Like the relationship between Carl and Russell is so great. And the funny thing is, I actually know a guy that looks just like Russell, so I make fun of him all the time. Because, well, Russell's kind of like an Asian kid, so that's what he kind of looks like. And And I'm also a Boy Scout, so I know what it's like, to have read through all the like the manuals and stuff like that, but to actually do it is a different thing. And Carl, just he is that grumpy old man. He is the Tommy Lee Jones, but basically the glue that holds it all together is relationship with him. There's so many memorable characters. There's Kevin, the Snipe. Then there's Doug, who was hilarious, and the chipmunk dog just cracks me up every time because I did not expect it. Like, well, then,
All right, Billy, I have up at number 4 on my Fast Five, and I'm going to reiterate a lot of what you just said. Yeah, just the relationships between the little boy and Carl, the old man. I love the visual look of Up. I mean, the colors when they go to the rainforest and they're flying with the balloons and the animal, the peacocks and the tropical. It was just breathtaking. The house was breathtaking to look at. The colors, it was just like a visual spectacle to look at, and I think it's one of the most beautiful of all the Toy Story movies. It's just like you're just like, wow, this movie is gorgeous to look at. And the cinematography, I mean, it's hard to have cinematography for an animated film, but Up really has amazing, amazing cinematography, and I just absolutely love Up, and it was on number 4 on my Fast Five because I just liked some other ones more than Up, but and obviously it was nominated for Best Picture, so I wasn't the only one. You weren't the only one. A lot of people have fallen in love with this movie. Would you say, Billy?
I was just chat. Like I also the music in it. Music like most of it is there's a lot of Randy Newman who You Got a Friend in Me, which is one of my favorites. But Michael Giacchino's film music. I just saw Jurassic World, and the music was really good, and that was by Michael Giacchino. The piano, the simple piano work, it literally gets you right at the heart. It knows when to play it. It knows when to be serious and when to be lighthearted. It tells a story, and that's just icing on top of this beautiful cake that I like to call Up.
Oh, that's a great way to end that segment. All right, so now, okay, movies that you have in your Fast Five that Scott and Alicia do not have on their Fast Five. Something that you like that's in your Fast Five that they do not have. Obviously, you know what their Fast Five is, I think. I think you know what number 1 is on their Fast Five list.
Oh yeah.
So, what else do you have in your Fast Five that you want to?
Okay, I've gone through. My number 4 was Finding Nemo. 3rd was Incredibles. 2 is Up. My number 5 has to be Monsters Inc. Why? First off, just hometown. He's a great guy. Mike was me because I was that short kid. I wasn't, like a tennis ball with arms and one eyeball, but I was the short kid. I was always like the second guy. I wasn't the big star like Sully. And yeah, their friendship and the one with Sully and Boosh and just Steve Buscemi. He was a great villain, and he can be really intimidating, and it's really surprising when you look at him. You're like, this guy, but no, he was good as Randall, and I've seen it many times. I probably will see it many more. And this was, like Scott said, this was after 9/11. I was really young when it happened, but I could feel the effects of everybody was kind of still in shock. And then this film about, monsters comes out, and it's by Pixar. It has just, yeah. Another thing is the Pixar messages. They're very simple. very straightforward, but they don't pound it into your head, kind of like, you know, Tomorrowland. It's a it's one of my favorite animated films of all time. Many of the animated films come from Disney and Pixar. There are a couple others, but yeah, I Monsters Inc.
All right, I have two. One of them is Ratatouille. I have Ratatouille at number three on my Fast Five. Patton Oswalt as the rat, and Brad Garrett as Andre, the chef guy or whatever. Wow, I'm a big food guy. I've lost a little bit of weight lately, but I kind of fluctuate between losing weight and gaining weight. But
Right.
I'm a big foodie, as they say. I love when food looks good and it looks like it's ready to eat, and I love cooking my food and then eating it all up. And so have a movie that's about a rat who, instead of being just a rat that's running around the kitchen or whatever, he wants to be the chef. He wants to cook his own food. And then, of course, you get the whole critic thing, which is a takeoff on movie critics, food critics, movie critics. And I mean, it's like the most odd thing you could think of. A rat is it's like greatest chef in the world, and he's going to do all this stuff. And then, of course, it also has to do with bosses, employees and bosses, because you have the guys like, oh, I'm going to stomp on you. I don't want you around. I'm the chef. I'm the big shot. I'm going to be the main guy and all this stuff. And you're never going to make it as anything. You're going to be a nobody the rest of your life. You're just some miserly old rat. No, I have dreams. I have things that I want to accomplish in my life. I have emotions.
Anyone.
And Patton Oswalt as Remy the rat is, oh God, one of the all-time, if not probably maybe the top three characters in all the Pixar films. And once again, beautiful.
Oh my God, Paris! Look at Paris. It's like something out of a painting.
Oh yeah, it's just beautiful. And I know you haven't seen it. I know a lot of folks haven't seen it yet. But number 5 on my Fast Five is Inside Out. I saw it 2 weeks ago, and I cannot say enough about Inside Out, Billy. The voices of Amy Poehler, Mindy Kaling, Bill Hader, Louis Black, Phyllis Smith. I mean, they are just all perfectly cast in this movie. And when I was watching it, this story about a little girl her family moves her away from Minnesota to San Francisco because the father was looking for work and this and that. And we've all been there. I've been there. I didn't want to move from New England. When I lived in New England, I was about 18 years old. I was about your age. And my family said, no, we've had enough. We're moving away from New England. We're going to move to Florida. And once I established myself here, I met people. I got into coaching. I got into sports. I got into the things I'm doing now with film critic and blogging and podcasting and so forth. I fell in love with where I live and the area that I live in. And so we've all been there where our parents have said, okay, we're moving. You have to uproot yourself, go away from the school. And so the emotions that go into that and finding new friends and so forth. And they really give you the in-depth inside of what that little girl is going through in Inside Out. And I'm not really giving anything away. This is called all public knowledge, what this movie is about. But you do got to experience Inside Out for yourself. And that's why I had to put it on my top 5, because my Fast 5, because it was phenomenal. And I know you haven't seen it yet, Billy, but I definitely recommend everybody out there see it. I give Inside Out a big see it. So
I cannot wait to see it. I agree with you 100% about the voices. They are perfectly cast. Like the anger one is this little short one, kind of like Louis Black. Mindy Kaling's kind of the well, I'm not going to swear on here, but she's the B word, disgust. And Amy Poehler has always been happy. I have never really seen her do anything aside from being like the happy or kind of ditzy one. Yeah, I am. I mean, the concept is just interesting. What goes on in the head, and it's kind of like, Monsters Inc. They're monsters just going to work. It's the same thing. It's just emotions going to work inside this girl's head, and we all have different emotions. And it's directed by Pete Docter, who did Up and Monsters Inc. And I cannot wait.
Yeah, you're gonna love it, Billy. All right, so now we're gonna go to. I think we all know what Fast Five #1 is for Alicia and Scott, and that's Toy Story 3. Where does Toy Story 3 fall in your Fast Five, Billy?
Gonna come this all #1. If I had to choose between the three, though, it's got to be the first Toy Story. Toy Story 3, it's got to be #2. Toy Story 2 is #3. I love them all to death, but yeah, Toy Story 3 is also my #1 choice. Basically, the Toy Story trilogy, and that is why I'm also really scared about Toy Story 4. But you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because it's John Lasseter, it's all Lee Unkrich, Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton. All of them are coming into this film. But I love Toy Story 3 specifically because, like, I just graduated my first year of college, or I just finished my first year of college, and it's a very scary experience. Like, I know it deals with, like, toys, but it's really about, growing up and letting go of things that can hold you back. And just the performances, oh my God, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, they have chemistry. And Tom Hanks also, I would freak out if I ever met the guy. And just, like, all the voices, as always, it looks beautiful. To me, the main reason is because of the story, and I encapsulate all three of them. That you could watch it as one film, and like one giant mega film, and it's great. Just Toy Story 3, it wraps up the Andy storyline. It takes some twists and turns, also, like how the villain Lotso. First of all, is Ned Beatty. He's great. But you look at him and you're like, he's just a little teddy bear. Apparently smells like strawberries. And
Yeah.
It encapsulates Pixar.
Yeah, I do not have Toy Story 3. Actually, I do not have any Toy Story in my Fast Five, and I'll explain the reason why. I like the Toy Story films, but I don't love them as much as I love Inside Out, Up, Ratatouille, Incredibles, and Finding Nemo. And WALL-E would be #6 if I had to pick a #6. And I have some disdain for Toy Story 3 because I feel like these movies are for children. And I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of in-jokes and puns and things like that for adults in these Pixar movies. And that's what's so great about Pixar films in general is they relate to children, and they can relate to adults. But I just thought this movie was so graphic. I thought the subject matter of how these toys were going to be burnt to a crisp in an incinerator at the end of the movie. I don't think that you need to be making a movie with those kinds of images for children. And so I have a real disdain for Toy Story 3, and that's why it's not in my Fast Five. And I know Ned Beatty. He's been in a lot of different movies, Deliverance, the Superman movies, so forth. And he's a great actor. And all the actors we mentioned, John Ratzenberger and Wallace Shawn, and the Slinky Dog. Now, of course, I can't remember
because passed away.
Say that again.
I believe it was one of Jim Varney's friends that played Slink in the third film. Because unfortunately, we don't have Jim Varney anymore because he died of cancer.
Yeah, and Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, I mean, they're fantastic. These guys, Tim Allen was one of the biggest TV actors of all time, and Tom Hanks, obviously two-time Oscar winner, one of the biggest film actors of all time. And you put these two powerhouses together in something like that.
Tom Hanks profiles.
Yeah, that was.
Great one.
I'm a big fan of Tom Hanks. But so that's the reason why I do not have Toy Story 3 in my Fast Five, and why I'm not a huge fan of that movie. All right, so we're gonna go down our list again, Billy. I said Inside Out was 5, Up 4, Ratatouille 3, Incredibles 2, Finding Nemo 1. What's your Fast Five?
My Fast Five is Monsters Inc. Crap, I'm trying to remember. My number 4 is Finding Nemo. Yeah, Monsters Inc. Finding Nemo. Number 3 would be The Incredibles. 2 would be Up, and number 1, I'm just gonna say the Toy Story trilogy.
I'll,
But specific, like I respect your opinion. I understand why some people don't like Toy Story 3. That's fine. But it holds. I think sometimes it's great to be more adult because, like, there's the I forget the company that does it, but they did like Paranorm and Coraline and the Box Trolls. They're worse, and like they scare kids, but it teaches them a lesson. Like I get there's a point where it gets like too dark, too gritty, but like the whole time I was thinking that, I'm like, it's a Disney film, but you know, it's still, there's that possibility of like, they could do that, but still, I understand why. I'm just,
with that, Billy,
it also just holds.
you love it. Absolutely. I am. You.
I understand why you don't. It's okay.
That's fine. Okay. Well, with that, I am going to call it a night. I'm just going to real quick. I wrote this down real quick. I wanted to say, some of the voice work. I just wanted really quick, in case people don't know how big and how important Pixar films are in Hollywood. Look at some of the voice actors real quick, and then we're going to end the show. Tim Allen, Tom Hanks, Ed Asner, John Goodman, Danny DeVito, Amy Poehler, Billy Hader, Phyllis Smith, Louis Black, Mindy Kaling, Holly Hunter, Craig T. Nelson, Jason Lee, Ellen DeGeneres, Albert Brooks, Patton Oswalt, Brad Garrett, Owen Wilson, Larry the Cable Guy, Paul Newman. That is a powerhouse lineup of actors in Hollywood.
There's so much more too
on for these movies. Say that again.
There's even more. Like we could probably just do a whole show on any one of those guys.
Yeah.
And they're all in this one studio. Maybe not in the same films. Well, unless you're John Ratzenberger, but yeah, this has been a great time. I'm very honored and privileged to be a part of this community. I'm glad that I got to hang out, Dan, and yeah, I'm looking forward till the next one.
All right. Well, hopefully we will see you down the road, Billy, and hopefully we'll definitely be doing one. I don't know what Alicia and Scott's next profiles is going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be a guy with a middle to northern Eastern European accent. Might be the next one. Don't quote me on that. It sounds like it. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good bet.
Yeah. So with that being said, where can you be found, Billy?
Where can I be found? Well, on my Twitter, you can find me at Billy_Pollahan, and that's POLLIHAN. I do my own channel with me and my buddy, and it's called Movie Redubs. Just capitalize the R and the D in Redubs, and we have a couple videos just trying to get off the feet. And you can just find me on Facebook at Billy Pollahan. That's pretty much it.
All right. Well, you can find me always at Dan Skip Allen on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. I also do a show with my good buddy Vinny La Spada called The Best Damn Movie Show, and I put up a little blurb the other day about a little video of me talking about Jurassic World. So go there, and hopefully we'll be able to do some more profiles after shows, because I really enjoyed doing these, and we'll get some good subjects to talk about in the future. All right, everybody, have a good night.
You too.